Hi, my name is Mary Esselman. I'm the CEO here at Operation Breakthrough, and we were pretty excited to be able to host tonight's event to really get Kansas City excited about solar. We got excited about it about 2 years ago when we started planning the Ignition Lab, and Sun Partners Group, they were traditionally doing work in third world countries and trying to bring power, but they also realized there's real power needs for solar and alternative renewable energy here in our cities, and they selected Operation Breakthrough for their first installation. So there's some pictures around, but the entire pavilion that you see outside here, along with the workshop, is powered by solar. We have solar panels. That's an example of what the panels look like there. And we currently are serving, this is our high school workforce development and entrepreneur space. So we have 10 different zones that we had over the course of our first year, 200 high school students who could choose everything from green tech, which we're here to talk about tonight, to product design, automotive and engineering, graphic design, I mean, a whole array of areas. And one of the things that's really neat about green tech is the fact that in that monitor up there, you can actually see, and the kids see every day, how much solar are we generating, how much are we consuming, and what's left to store or to sell back. And so it's kind of neat to watch. Like today was a little cloudy, so we didn't end up ahead, but on sunny days, you should see we're producing actually 50% more solar power than we actually need through the panels. So tonight's going to be really neat to hear about how we can all do that in Kansas City to increase our renewable energy sources. But before I turn it over, I want to tell you about our next power, because we're not going to stop there with just our stationary panels. Our high school students are actually starting on 4 entrepreneurship pathways. One is a food truck with culinary arts, one is a computer repair shop with our computer tech students, but our green tech students are about to launch, hopefully this summer, a next-gen container farm in which they will be using not only hydroponics, but they'll also be using temperature and humidity to grow microgreens, mushrooms, basil, and learn what it's like to run a business growing. But we're going to actually tap into that solar that's on the roofs, and we're going to store it. We already have the batteries, and then we're going to push it back so the kids can see what's it like to be totally off the grid, to totally have renewable energy powering one of the containers, and then see what it's like to use traditional electricity. So lots going on here. Examples you can see, kids are building solar cars. One of the capstones was a solar-powered vacuum cleaner. So kids are learning it. I'm excited that you're all here to learn more about it. So I'm going to turn it back. Thank you for being here, and we're excited to see where we can go with this.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Chris Hernandez. I am Communications Director for the City of Kansas City, and it is my pleasure to be here as your MC for tonight's event. Look at the size of this crowd, and people are still coming in. So as more people come in, remember you can go around the back and come around the other side. If you'd like to come find a seat over there, there's room over on this side. So come on in, make yourself at home. A few seats up front, just like at church, so come on in. We're going to go through how this actually works tonight, because a lot of folks who are coming here want to know, how can I get solar at my house or business? And that's what this campaign is really all about. Solarize KC is unique because it's purchasing solar infrastructure in bulk, and that helps everyone. And in Kansas City, what do we know? We know how to field a winning team, no matter what the sport, no matter what the initiative. And I gotta tell you, at City Hall, we are all in on this. We want to be one of the most sustainable and green cities in the country, and this is one of the ways we're making it happen. So thank you to everyone who is taking time out of their schedule to show up today. We're gonna get going with the program now and show you how this is done. And of course, one thing we want to do is hear from Mayor Quinton Lucas.
I am Mayor Quinton Lucas. I wanted to say thank you for all that you are doing to
he's on this list.
To make sure that we have more energy accessibility, including, of course, solar panels for so many more folks in Kansas City. I'm very sorry I could not be with you today. We had a change in our schedule, but I want to make sure that we appreciate, recognize, and celebrate the work that you're doing, not just for some Kansas Cityans, but for all. Know that you have the support of the Mayor's Office, the City Council, the entire city of Kansas City, Missouri, as you continue to make sure that we're speaking a good and clear message about clean energy in our community, energy efficiency, and supporting families at all income levels. So thanks once again for the work that you do. We look forward to more growth. We look forward to celebrating Kansas City as one of the cleanest energy cities in America. Thanks so much and have a wonderful celebration.
All right. You guys could hear that pretty well, right? So also our city manager, Brian Platt, he is very supportive of this project. He has been in on some of the discussions we've been having at City Hall, and I do want to introduce our assistant city manager, Melissa Kozakowicz, who is sitting right there. She came to keep tabs on what's going on, and certainly if you have any questions about the many initiatives we're doing at City Hall to encourage sustainability. One of our next speakers is going to talk about the climate protection plan. Brian Platt, the city manager, signed an executive or administrative regulation, which is like an executive order for city staff, to mandate that all future purchases of vehicles for the city fleet must be electric vehicles. Now, that's a great move because that's a very definitive way we are getting there on this road to sustainability. Now, there are some exceptions. They still do not make electric vehicle fire trucks, but if we start asking for those things, that's how we will get them eventually. So we want to be the first city that has that when that eventually happens as well. So next up, also from City Hall, our Chief Environmental Officer, Andy Savastino.
Thank you. So, as many of you know, we've been working pretty hard to reach the goals for the city. The city council set goals to be climate neutral by 2040 for the community. So we here in the city, working with our stakeholders, have been really working on a plan to get there. So as part of that, renewable energy, sustainability, that's a big thing for us. And of course, you've seen some of the things we've been trying to do at the airport with the renewable project there, the solar array. Well, that's one way to build resilience in the community in terms of electricity usage and generation. So what can we do on top of that? We thought, well, what about solar for residential, bringing it more local? So with that, I had the opportunity from the Rocky Mountain Institute to work with a private partner and some local stakeholders and nonprofits to put together this campaign so we can bring a bulk purchase program to you here in Kansas City. So I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to recognize our coalition before we really start to show you what the program's all about. So yeah, up on the slide here, this is our local coalition here. So we have some great partners, some great experts that helped us starting in January to build this program out, to bring Kansas City, not just Kansas City residents, but pretty much anybody in the metropolitan area, an opportunity to access renewable energy at an affordable price. So I wanted to recognize these folks. They're here. If my partners would want to raise their hands, I'd appreciate it. If you look around, these are our local partners. They've spent countless hours working with me, working through work groups, working through this program, and it's really been exciting. This is a fun project, and we're really excited to get this launched. If you have been looking at our website on this, already we've got over 180 people signed up to participate in this program, and this is our launch date. So this is pretty exciting stuff for us. So with that, I don't want to take up too much more time, but before you leave today, visit with our coalition partners, visit with our installers, and with that, thank you all for coming out. I'll go from there. Thank you.
You'll be hearing more from Andy in the coming months as we roll out the climate protection and resiliency plan that has been updated, rewritten with the help of many, many people probably in this very room who have helped with the surveys and the community engagement. So thank you for that, Andy. And speaking of the coalition members, it's now time to bring one of them up. So Billy Davies from the Sierra Club has just a couple words to say about what it's like to participate in this coalition.
Thank you all very much. Hi, I'm Billy Davies with the Sierra Club Missouri chapter, and what an honor it is to be here with all of you this evening and to be a part of this coalition. As has been said by Mayor Lucas, Mr. Savastino, and everybody tonight, this is part of a community response to the overlapping crises we face and the opportunities presented by the solutions, making them part of a community response to climate change and a community response to ensuring that all have the ability to access the benefits of a just, more connected, more equitable, clean energy future, and live in a community where all can thrive. I happen to be a part of this coalition, a part of an awesome team that's part of the Share the Sun team, part of Solarize Kansas City, and want to recognize everybody who is a part of that. And that is a component of this program that we're going to be sharing more information in the coming weeks. But as was said, a part of the Climate Protection Resilience Plan, in shaping this plan, Kansas City recognized the existential threat that we face due to the climate crisis, and that we recognize that that crisis is not hitting everybody proportionately. It's not folks are experiencing burdens disproportionately. And further, folks are also not receiving the solutions proportionally. There are folks who are still not able to access renewable energy. And it is up to us as a community, as cities, as stakeholders, community partners, businesses, to help ensure that everybody has access to this. And so part of the Share the Sun program will give folks the opportunity to receive solar panels and benefit from renewable energy at mostly or perhaps even entirely reduced costs. And it's just one of the many solutions that Kansas City is employing to lead the way in taking action on climate, and it's a pleasure to be with you all as a part of it. So thank you for giving me the time, Chris.
Thank you, Billy. And that's actually the point of having all the coalition members. We want that broad support from across the community, but we also want to make sure that everyone is represented in an equitable way in this program. So we are going to make that happen. And speaking of making it happen, now to get to the meat of the program, because this is how it's going to happen. What are the details? How can I buy solar? How can I get it on my roof? I want it now. So to help us with that, Don Moreland from Solarize KC.
Is that supposed to stay on for some reason?
Yes, it's another microphone for the city camera.
Okay.
So just let it,
Here, I'll just put this back here. I was going to walk around like I own the place, but perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, my name is Don Moreland. I could not be more happy to be here. I'm going to try to lift this up just a little bit. All right, I got to that time. I'm with Solar Crowdsource. Solar Crowdsource, we've been going around the country running Solarize programs for a little while now. We were fortunate enough to hook up with a nonprofit called Rocky Mountain Institute last year. I don't know if you're familiar with it, really big environmental sustainable nonprofit out of Colorado. And they introduced us to your good folks here in Kansas City. And together, we've been able to put together what looks to be an amazing Solarize campaign. As Andy had mentioned earlier, over 180 people, 180 of you have already signed up for this campaign, and I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, and we've never seen a response like this in any community we've ever been in. So you all should be very proud of yourselves so far, just for showing an interest in solar. I guess I can't walk around and sway around a little bit, but an intervention moment for all of us. I don't know if you know this, but you have a right to generate your own power. I don't know if you knew that before, but you do have a right to generate your own electricity on your own property. And for the first time in any of our lives, that is now possible because the costs of solar have come down so far over the last 10 or so years that now we're at what's called grid parity. And that means that you can generate your own electricity on your own property using your own resources, the sun, and do it for at cost or cheaper than what you're getting from the utility. And if the utility's not giving you the kind of power you want to use, then you have a right to generate your own power yourself. Nothing against the utility. We love the utilities. It's just that we're at an inflection point. It's called the democratization of energy. And rather than a lot of power and a lot of energy, pun intended, being in a relatively small few hands, now we have the opportunity to all share the benefits of generating our own energy. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the nuts and bolts of that in a minute. But I just wanted to kind of start there. I'm really excited. We're living in a time that is unprecedented in a lot of ways, right? But this is a positive one. And not only can you generate your own electricity on your own property, but you can do it through Solarize Kansas City cheaper than you've ever been able to do it before. So that's what I want to get into. So what is Solarize Kansas City? You know, it's this group of nonprofits. We got together. It's a group purchasing program at its essence. Think of Groupon and Angie's List, like smashed together. We did a competitive bid out there, and we got bids in from solar contractors, and you're going to meet the winning contractor, and you're going to know why we chose them in just a second. But we've vetted the contractors, the materials, and we have a really good installation partner that we're working with called Sun Solar, and you're going to hear from them. The whole idea is to make solar more affordable and more accessible than it's ever been before. Who can I pick on? All right, you, sir. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I usually, step in it when I do this. So I've never met you before, right? Or just a moment ago?
Oh, yeah, a moment.
If you were to look at going solar for your own house, where would you start?
Right here.
That's a good answer. See? And I just met him. I did not pay him to say that, I promise. The truth is, a lot of us don't know when or how. We can do our research, we can get some bids, but how do we know what a good panel is? How do we know what a good inverter is? A good warranty, a good price? We've already done that work for you. You're welcome to go out and get other bids, but this is going to be the most competitive deal that you've seen really ever in Kansas City. So we make solar more accessible and more affordable with the group purchase and the competitive bid aspect that I just talked about. All right, it is a community-based campaign. It's amazing what you can do when you get a few folks together and really focus on delivering the best product and the best service for the citizens of Kansas City, and these guys have done it. We mentioned RMI, Rocky Mountain Institute. We mentioned that part of Kansas City's plan to go clean energy involves an equity component, and this campaign is a reflection of that. Solar is unique in that it is able to reduce energy burden in a very direct, sustainable, and enduring way. These systems last for 25, 30 years, and they'll just keep cranking out electricity with very little operating and maintenance. So when it comes to helping low and moderate income folks reduce their energy burden, solar is it's a tremendous way to go about that. So we do have an emphasis on equity and workforce development as part of this campaign as well. All right, I'll speed it up, I promise. Why solar? Well, again, the first thing is you can convert that never-ending expense that you're going to pay the utility and actually make it an investment. You can convert that expense into an investment and actually get a return on that investment. And solar works as a hedge against raising utility rates. It seems like everything is going up now, including the cost of electricity. But because there's very little in operating and maintenance required, and the source of the power, the sun, is for free, then solar works as a great hedge against raising utility rates. Because it's like a set it and leave it technology. Every time the utility rates go up, the more valuable your solar system becomes. There are some good tax incentives available. Just real quick, there's a federal tax credit. That's a tax credit of 26%. That's available through the end of this year. And then it does go down to 22% in 2023, and then eventually it phases out unless something gets renewed up at Washington. But if you're interested in that tax credit and you can monetize that tax credit, you have a tax liability, then you might want to think about getting started sooner than later and getting that project installed this year rather than next year. You don't have to use the entire tax credit that first year. You can carry it forward in subsequent years. I talked about the operating and maintenance. Oh, by the way, solar's clean and renewable. We used to lead the conversations with those, but now it's an economic discussion, and it's a clean energy discussion. But when the economics make sense and you can afford it, and it's clean, renewable energy, then it's also the right thing to do. All right, yes, please take a picture of this one. This is the one I want you to remember. And this slide presentation will be available on the website, so you can go back and take a look at that if you like. But we've already vetted the contractors, the whole plug and play thing. That was very intentional. Very clever too, right? Vetted contractors, vetted materials, predetermined pricing, trusted and safe. If you've ever Googled solar and you got bombarded with solar ads, then you know what I'm talking about. This is a very safe place to be. We vetted the contractors, and we're making sure that nobody is making any representations that aren't true as part of this campaign. And of course, you get the support of the community. You're not going it alone. If something goes sideways, we're here to help all the way through. All right, very quickly, we talked about why solar. This is why solar now, and that is that tax credit. It's going to be phasing out. There's additional incentives available for commercial. Is anybody here interested in commercial solar for your building, for your commercial building? Okay, come talk to us later, Jensen. Up to 25% group purchase available with this, and I'm going to explain exactly how that works in just a second. And the utility is still offering net metering. That means if you're generating any, more electricity than you're using at any given time, you can sell that energy back to the utility, and they'll pay you a one-for-one rate for that. And then they'll reconcile it at the end of the month, and then it starts over again. Okay, but that's a good utility that does it. There's other utilities that don't pay you the one-for-one credit. So we're real happy to be working with Evergy in that regard. And that's the right thing to do. I mentioned that earlier. All right, here's the pricing. There's a typo in this one. Raise your hand when you can see it. But here is the tiered pricing. Right now we're starting off in Tier 1. I'm going to yell so I can walk around and explain this. But each of these tiers represents 50 kilowatts of aggregated solar capacity. Okay? So, and then every time we reach 50 kilowatts, the price will drop another percentage. So let me explain. If we get 10 of you who are interested in going solar, and you do a 5 kilowatt system each, 10 people times 5 kilowatts equals 50 kilowatts, right? So those first 10 people are going to pay $2.70 a watt for their deal. Now that 11th person, which is probably you, right? You're smarter than that. You're not going to be the first one to sign up for this. Right?
Too late, there's already 180.
So 11th one comes along. 11 times 5, that's 55. So now we have 55 aggregate kilowatts of solar. So then the price drops for that 11th person, and so forth and so on. So the more people we can get to go in on the cost of solar, the cheaper it gets. And it just doesn't get cheaper for the people who do it later on. It gets cheaper for everybody. Because whatever tier we end up at, here's the typo, you see it. Every tier we end up at, it looks like we're going to end up in Tier 8 on this campaign. I cannot guarantee it, but I feel really confident with the response that you guys have sent us so far. The price drops to $2.55, and everybody who signed up before that will get a rebate check for the difference in what they paid and what the final price is. So everybody's paying the same price. Everybody's rowing the boat the same way. It's kind of a built-in referral mechanism, right? If you know you can, maybe get your friends and neighbors to maybe participate, that's going to bring down the cost for everybody. And by the way, cleaner, more sustainable Kansas City. Here's how it works. This is just like mind-blowing, I understand, but let's focus on the highlighted area. Right now we're in Tier 1. This is your 5 kilowatt sample. $2.70 a watt, that's the base price. It's going to come to $13.5. Okay? Subtract the 26% federal tax credit from that, your net price is $9,990. And then if we reach our goal, which is tier 8, you'll get a $750 rebate check at the end of the campaign, bringing it down to $92.40. Does that make sense? Okay. Some places I got to explain that like 5 times. You guys are pretty fast.
How long is the campaign?
We have their sign-up period till the end of October. Who asked that? The end of October is the enrollment period. And then I have a slide on that. You didn't give me a chance.
I'm excited.
Then we have deadlines. Okay, let's get to that. I'm excited too. Here's the pricing for commercial. Pardon me. These are not aggregated. We do not aggregate the capacity for commercial projects. It's just really hard to do it that way. Commercial decisions are made in the boardroom by consensus, not at the kitchen table. So it takes a lot longer for those decisions to be made, and you can't have the boardroom making decisions on it if maybe we get to the last tier. So these are flat pricing. So depending on what size your project is, depends on what your price would be per watt for that. And then, there's going to be maybe a plus or minus depending on site conditions. Okay? Here's your important dates. October 31st is our enrollment deadline. But what we see is a lot of people will come back, sign up at the last minute. And they need time to figure things out. Maybe they want to get some financing. It's a homeowners association, historic district, whatever the case may be. So the residential contract deadline is December 31st, and the commercial contract deadline is a couple months after that. And that's it for me.
All right. My name is Tyrone Galgano. I am the lead consultant on this project, so I will be working with each and every one of you on both the residential and commercial projects. Just a little bit about myself. I believe everyone's here because they have a passion.
A new day.
A new day.
Lots of sun.
Hence, when you go onto YouTube and search solar, you will be bombarded by types of videos like this. We also have a YouTube for SunSolar. Today, I think I continue that passion. I'm a huge proponent of renewable energy, a huge proponent of electric vehicles. I've owned one since 2018, and I absolutely love it. Being able to charge that in my garage and have my solar panels charge my car, saving gas, it just goes full circle. So I love the fact that we've been chosen to be the lead contractor on this project. And that also gives you guys the ability to know that we've been vetted extensively by not only the city of Kansas City, but a number of actual board members that took part in that vetting process as well. Just a little bit about SunSolar. This year is our 10th year anniversary, so we've been in business in the area for a long period of time. That also helps with your trust in that process, that we were going to be around for a long period of time. That leads me into our workmanship warranty. We are offering a 25-year partnership with you on your home and your business. That is our workmanship warranty. It is leading in the industry. With a lot of contractors, you might do work for your home. You might get a 1 or potentially 5-year workmanship contractor warranty. We are giving you a 25-year relationship. The reason why we are doing that is because we stand behind the quality of the work we are offering and the fact that we're using the highest quality materials in that. We are using all what they call tier 1 grade level. It's kind of like Consumer Reports for equipment. They rate certain manufacturers, and tier 1 is the highest. It is a tad more expensive, but when you're investing in a project like this for your home that you expect not only to last, we want it to not only last, but work at a very high efficient rate over the full 25-year term. So most of the solar panels we're using currently, when they're tier 1 grade, what that means is once you reach year 25, they're still operating above 80%, which is great for any equipment that you're replacing outdoors. Just a few other important aspects about our company. We are A+ Better Business Bureau rated. We've got over 4.5 stars reviews on Google. Something about our company is that our CEO, Caleb Arthur, also acted as president of Mosaic. It's a leading community board that keeps the integrity among all actual vendors and contractors in the state of Missouri. We have 185 actual employees that are residing in the state of Missouri, and we do outside of the state as well. You know, we've got projects in Texas. The commercial video we were going to show was a Texas video. But we not only do Missouri, but we expanded outwards. So we are growing at a very successful rate, and we plan to be around for a very long period of time. Our booth is going to be located at the back here. So if you guys have a number of questions, feel free to stop by. Our normal consultations when we're going to be meeting with each of you are about 30 to 45 minutes on average, but I usually will set an hour on time to speak with you guys on your guys' projects. So once you guys get signed up through Solar Kansas City, all that information will be sent to our team, and then we'll begin reaching out with you starting next week. So you'll be getting an invite from myself to speak and sit down, and we can kind of go over your project a little bit more in thorough. Thank you.
Okay. So speaking of questions, so places to get additional information, there's the website, solarizeKansasCity.com. We, of course, have the link to that on the city's website at kcmo.gov, which I know every single one of you has bookmarked on your browser right now, right? The #1 source of information for the city of Kansas City, Missouri. I can't not. So we also want to take a few minutes here to do a little bit of Q&A. For this group Q&A, it would be great to aim your questions at things that you think would affect the entire group. If you have a very specific question about your own home or business that you think is very specific to your situation, everyone is going to be here afterwards for some mingling and visit the booths so you can answer those individual questions. But if anyone has any group questions, you want to take these? Got one quick in the back there.
So what does the finance look like? Like how long does it take to pay for itself?
If you were to pay cash, it's obviously a different return than if you were to finance it through another means. I'll speak to the cash, and then I'll let Tyrone speak to other financing options that are available with the campaign. And really, because the utility does provide some of the net metering. If you push that energy back, they'll give you that dollar for dollar credit. You can get it paid back a bit faster. If you can monetize that tax credit, you can do it faster. All of that said, you're looking at about an 8 to 10 year period of time. One thing that I think it's worth mentioning when we talk about time periods like that is the system itself is warranted for 25 years. These guys provide a 25-year workmanship warranty as well, and they're known to continue to generate electricity for decades and decades. So, you know, that payback period, relatively speaking, isn't so bad. And then if you want to talk about some financing.
And we'll be providing options for a number of nationwide solar lenders, from Goodleap to Sunlight to Mosaic. These solar lenders have options for financing where you can essentially take what you're already spending the utility company currently and essentially put that into a monthly payment for your solar system. Obviously, once your solar is actually energized, your utility rates will come down, and you're essentially moving that frame of money that you'd already had going to nowhere by renting your power and putting into your solar payment. Similar versus renting and owning a home right now, you might take a mortgage for that home, but at least you're building equity over time with those payments rather than just giving away for rent and not getting anything for it. Those plans come in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, all the way up to 25 years, where you can stretch out that loan to get your payment as low as possible to more closely match what you're currently paying the utility. And the one thing that's nice, that's a consistent payment. It's going to levelize at one point in time versus your utility payment, which is going to continue to go up as rates rise.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have 2 questions. One is, you're saying the warranty is the workmanship warranty. What about the panels?
So as far as the main pieces of equipment, the panels themselves have a 25-year warranty. They also come with a production guarantee. Like I mentioned, after 25 years, they're still operating above 80%. The panels we have in the back are 83.4% to be exact. As far as the inverters, they will come with a 12-year warranty that is extendable as an added option to 25 years if you wish. And then also with batteries, if you do add a battery component with the Tesla, that would be a 10-year warranty on the batteries.
And then my second question is, I've heard that utility companies charge a fee, or they disincentivize, people using solar. It's like, oh, well, if you're going to send it back to us, you're going to pay a fee. And how do we know that Evergy won't suddenly just say this, oh, look at all these Kansas City people that aren't using us. We're going to bump up the price.
I'm going to repeat that for the people in the back who couldn't hear. She's essentially asking what happens if the energy company such as Evergy decides to tack on a fee to make up for your lower rates. So,
one thing that's nice is every state has different net metering laws. We do have very favorable net metering laws here currently in the state of Missouri. And once your system is energized, you're essentially signing a contract with the utility company. It's called a net metering agreement. That agreement is grandfathered into the laws that are current. So if laws do change in the future, where they take away those net metering laws, you're still grandfathered into the project laws that you have currently, which is nice because you basically get that one-to-one for that monthly span where they're net metering your system.
All right, yes, ma'am.
Is the warranty transferable?
Yes, it is.
You got to repeat the question.
The warranty is transferable.
All right, yes, sir.
So if we have a roof that's 15 years old, should we replace that roof before we do it?
So as far as qualifying your home, things that we usually want to look for is that your roof is less than 10 years old. These systems will last long periods of time. The workman life on most of these panels are 30, somewhat upwards of 40 years. There's case studies where systems installed in the 70s are still working today, but that was technology in the 70s. So you can expect these systems to work for a very long period of time, and that's one of the reasons why they have a very robust warranty at 25 years. They will continue to last well past that. So if your roof is in an age group currently where it's a little bit older than 10 years, I would recommend at least getting a quote from a qualified roofer to see where your roof stands as far as needing to be replaced. Because what you don't want to do is put equipment on the roof and then in next year have to essentially replace that roof because you'd be paying to have that system taken off and then put back and installed.
All right.
This project is available to the whole KC Metro, right? Not just KC Mo?
Yes, so this would be the Kansas City metro area. We are extending basically on the borders of that metro area, but as of right now, we're going to take it as a case-to-case basis, but this program is meant for the metro area, yes. And we're doing both the Kansas side and Missouri side. The net metering laws are a little bit different on the Kansas side, not quite as favorable as Missouri, but still, we've got something good in place.
And just a caveat, about 20% of the folks who have signed up already are from the Kansas side. So good participation on both sides. Yes, sir.
The federal tax credit, are there state tax credits, and then also any rebates from Evergy itself?
So as of right now, on the state level, there is none, but on the federal level, there is. So it's 26% as long as your project is completed by December 31st of this year. It phases down to 22% if your system is turned on next year, and then 2024, it's gone completely.
Does Evergy offer any type of rebates? No.
Not as of right now.
I did have one other question on the financing front. Would these projects be eligible for PACE financing? Are you familiar with that?
Commercial projects are available for PACE, yes.
Thanks.
John, back in the back.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Question, like, kind of like cable, sometimes move, are they transferable at all, or is it?
As far as moving the system with you? Yes, but just realize there would be basically taking that system off. There would be a labor-involved cost of removing that system and then reinstalling it on another home. So sometimes a lot of customers usually prefer to sell that system with their current house because by installing the system, you do raise the property value. So if you've lived up at this home long enough where this system is essentially paid for itself, now you can sell that home for a higher value. There's a number of reports out there on the market, even ones like Zillow, who list and sell a large number of homes that say when you sell your home, you will get a value about 4.1% higher than your current value of your home by having solar already on it. So that's something that's an added benefit to buyers looking to purchase homes, and your home usually tends to sell quite a bit faster.
In red?
The real question is, what's the approximate cost to remove and reinstall if you do that?
So that would depend on the system size as far as the project scope. So I don't have exact numbers for there, but I've seen those range between $1,500 all the way up to $3,500 depending on the size of the system.
How susceptible are the systems to storm damage?
So what's nice is these panels are very robust. She asked how susceptible these are to storm damage. Here in the Midwest, we do get quite a bit of the number of storms. They can take 1.5 inch golf ball size hail at 50 miles per hour. when we're installing these panels on people's roofs, we're walking all over them. And some of our installers are 200 pounds. So they are very robust against the elements. I have a Tesla Model X, and I've actually driven over a panel, and it did not break. So these systems are very robust against the elements, and I think they can take the Midwest. Now, I always like to play worst case scenario with my clients. If something does happen, let's say weather related, that's usually going to be a claim on your hail damage versus similar like making a claim on your roof. You'd be contacting your insurance at that time and having a deductible take care of the system cost, any kind of replacement.
In this program, is it possible to do a freestanding installation, or does it have to be rooftop?
Yeah, he asked about options for solar. We are providing both roof-mounted solar and ground-mounted solar. We also have parking canopies for both of our residential and commercial clients as well. Yes, ma'am.
I've heard sometimes roofs maybe it's the older houses, may not be strong enough to support the weight of solar panels. Is that something you've run into, or?
Yes, so essentially one of our first steps of the process is after the process is actually initiated and contracted by a customer, we will actually perform a site survey on your home. We definitely want safety to be the number one concern, so if structural integrity does come into play, we will then hire a third-party individual that will come out and do a structural site survey. There is an additional cost to that, but we want to make sure that that is our number one concern, safety first. If we were going to be installing anything on your home or a third-party structure on your property, we want to make sure the structural integrity will be able to handle that weight of that solar.
How much property is required for an off the grid?
For off the grid?
Freestanding.
Freestanding.
Ground mount.
So essentially the size of the systems, they're essentially built in rows of 5, and you can go as long as you need. So the depth of that system is about 16.5 feet, and then you can go as long as you need, depending on how many panels you're doing.
Does the price vary for how many panels? Or?
Yeah, since the ground mounts are in rows of 5, you basically be doing them each and every row, depending on the system size. The way we size our systems is we're going to look at the last 12 months of your usage to be able to know how much you're currently using to how much we need to produce. And then you can kind of choose as a client whether you want to produce 50% of your power, 80% of your power, 100% of your power, and that will size your system depending on that.
All right. We're gonna transition here because we've kept you in place for about an hour in your seats, but we do have, as you saw, many of the coalition partners are here and able to answer questions about how their coalition is, or how they're working with the coalition. Of course, Tyrone and Don are going to stay right here. They're not going anywhere. So if you guys want to start coming up with your individual questions, but we want to give people a chance to also mingle. And of course, one thing we like to do in Kansas City is if there's someone here that you haven't met, say hello while you're still here. That's how we build community. So thank you all for coming very much. We are very excited about the launch of Solarize KC. Let's make KC more green.